So I'm sure you noticed when we were walking up the steps to come up here.
You were walking a little bit more gingerly than normal.
Dude, the backs of my quads just are in pain right now. I went back to CrossFit for the first time and probably it's at least been 4 months, I know, maybe like 5 or 6 months. And
not like 6 or 7.
6, 7. But yeah. So I'm acutely aware of my age right now. I think is what I should say. But yeah, like my body is having some pains.
Right.
That's fun.
Yeah. And so as of recording last weekend was Easter, right?
Yeah.
So the day before Easter, Harper had a birthday party for one of the girls on her team.
Okay.
And it was at a trampoline park. So like I'm feeling you. Actually the one that they went to was, I forget what the actual name of it was, but it was in Cuyahoga Falls.
So it wasn't like Urban Air or one of them?
No, it wasn't Urban Air, but it was similar to that.
Right.
But they had a lot more different stuff. So instead of like the giant trampoline where you like jump into like the foam pit,
yeah,
they had the rope ladder like at the fair.
Okay.
They had one of those. They had like a swing.
Yeah.
That you could just like swing and jump off into.
Nice.
They also had have you seen the videos of those people doing like the light game where it's on the floor?
Yes. Yeah.
They had one of those there.
Oh.
So that was kind of
trampolines to do it, or
no.
It's just one
like
of those games. Okay. That's yeah.
So that was a lot of fun. And then obviously they had the big trampolines, they had the basketball hoop, they had the dodgeball. It was really funny because it ended up being like all of the girls that were there for the party and a few others that were just randomly in the place. It was basically girls versus boys dodgeball.
Okay.
And legitimately the girls were like more locked in and serious about it than the boys were.
Wrecking
like
house
you have one of the girls like, you're out, like just like it was very funny.
And now the $1 million question is how did your body feel after
oh my
doing
gosh
that?
My quads were in so much pain.
Trampolines like are I think one of the best ways for any person that's over the age of 30 to become acutely aware of like every bad joint that they have in their body.
Which is really funny because if you think about it, it's fairly low impact.
Relatively speaking,
when you think like of any other activity that you can do as far as like, you know, you're just jumping up and down on a trampoline. Yeah. But like your muscles just...
I was going to say, but it's like that tensing of the muscles every time you land and stuff like that. Because I think like when you're a kid... You're free, right?
You're more pliable.
Yeah, you're not so much worried about things. But when you're an adult, you're like very aware of if I even like turn the wrong way, I won't move for 4 days.
Dude, if I sleep the wrong way,
exactly.
I like wake up and I can't move my back, and I'm like, Argh!
Sleeping is now an extreme sport. Can you imagine being on a trampoline?
100%.
Yeah, I think that there should be like a warning sign on the outside of like trampoline parks. If you're over the age of 30, just you bounce at your own risk, and you know that when you wake up tomorrow, there's a good chance that things aren't going to move.
Well, it's like I wish somebody would do more of like an arcade / trampoline park. Like, because they have like a few arcade. Like, I love arcade games.
Me too.
Especially like pinball. I mean, skee ball.
The classics.
I love skee ball. Yeah.
The good stuff.
I mean, even some of like the old shooters and like the old Street Fighter games and Mortal Kombat games.
The old ones where you used to like the shooter games where you're actually holding like a physical gun and you step on the plate to duck behind cover and stuff like that pop up. I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think like one of them was like Time Cop or something like that. I think
Time Cop was a big one, and then like they made a Jurassic Park version where you got to like hunt dinosaurs and stuff. And
I've seen a couple ones. They have the ones where you're like in like a Jeep, but you're like sitting down and trying to do it. Yeah. The other one that I used to play, I forget what exactly it was, but it was Beachhead. Do you remember that one?
Beachhead. No.
So like it was almost like a VR helmet that came down, and you like could turn all the way around to like fire at like ships and stuff. Because you were like on like a turret on the beach, and like everybody was trying to invade their planes and stuff. Oh yeah,
that's fun.
Yeah,
I like those kinds of games. So that I think maybe it's Urban Air that's like down in Canton. That we went there for Sky's birthday, like where she invited a bunch of people in, and and they had a pretty decent arcade there, which I was like, actually didn't play any games because I was trying to be like super dad the whole time. But
Oh, of course.
I did go bounce and stuff on the trampolines, which again paid for.
Right, yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so that's fun. I like that kind of stuff. Well, to kick us off today, I've got a would you rather question for you.
Okay.
This comes from my long list of ones that I've worked with AI to create over time. And so, would you rather be able to eat anything you want
Okay.
and have it always give you perfect nutrition for your body?
So no matter what it is, like,
No matter, you can house donuts all day long.
and it's like perfect nutrition.
And it's like you're eating vegetables and meats and all that kind of stuff to give you like all the same nutritions that you need to survive and stuff like that. So you can eat anything you want, perfect nutrition, or you only have to sleep 1 hour a day, but you feel fully rested. Like it gives you like a complete night's sleep in 1 hour.
See, with that's I don't know, because I've always wanted to have that like feeling of being completely rested, but having more time.
Yeah, what is that?
Because and like that's the thing too, like if you had 1 hour, then you literally have 23 hours left in the day.
Yeah.
And
for sure.
you could accomplish a lot as long as everybody else is on that 1 hour sleep schedule. But
well, I think even if they're not, right? Like for the sake of yourself, like
right.
If you're willing to hustle and you're not just like gonna like lounge about and stuff,
Yeah.
then yeah, like that idea of like, even if you like changed up completely your like sleep schedule so that okay, I'm gonna sleep an hour, work for 8, sleep an hour. You obviously have your like playtime and stuff in there too. But like if you could schedule things out in a sense, so it's like okay, during the time period where everybody else is at work, I'm gonna sleep 1 hour before that, go in fully rested, do my work and stuff, and be like an A team player. And then when I get home from like my 8 or 9 hours of work or whatever,
take a nap and then
take an hour nap. When you wake up, you're fully refreshed again.
Yeah.
So you can rock and roll through the night and do whatever things you want to do, as far as like you want to game, you want to go like hiking or whatever, like do all your things and then swing back around, take another nap, and you're back at work again.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess the I don't know if like philanthropist, but like the idealist in me would be the nutrition thing.
Yeah.
Because it would be available presumably for everybody.
Right.
And, no matter what you eat, things like that, like you'd be able to get full nutrition. So that would like help wipe out hunger. And
see, I think this is specific just to you though.
Yeah. Like
this is like only you get the benefits from that. Now for me, I'll say that like, even though I was lobbying pretty hard for the rest thing, I usually sleep pretty well at night. And so I think that I'm on the side of I can eat anything because I love food.
Yeah.
And I'm big on like, most of the stuff that I'm like everybody else. Most of the stuff that I would want to eat on a regular basis is just chock full of sugar and salt and all those kinds of things. And so I would rather just be able to like house whatever food I want to.
See, like I've actually been making like a conscious effort to like eat a little bit better.
Yeah.
Like so when I go to the grocery store, like I'll get like a bag of carrots, a bag of the mixed like sweet peppers and things like that, and keep like a little thing of like the light ranch dip in because we have a little mini fridge in our office.
Yep.
So I just keep everything in there and then just kind of snack on those like when I get hungry instead of like going and buying chips or.
I can't do raw carrots, man. I wish that I could. I really do.
I love because it satisfies that like crunch.
Yep.
Of like a chip or things like that.
Yeah, I'll if it's a matter of like if I've got ranch and stuff like that to go along with it, I'll gladly do celery.
Yeah,
I'll do things along those lines, like the peppers and stuff. I like broccoli, like raw broccoli with a little bit of ranch on it. But I can't, for some reason, I just can't do raw carrots.
Really?
When they're cooked, I love them.
Yeah, like in a beef stew or
put them in a beef stew, or even like baking them in the oven with a little bit of like a drizzle of honey or something like that on top of them. Like I love all cooked carrots across the board.
I can't do raw carrots.
But I can't do raw carrots.
That's weird.
There's something about the flavor profile that changes about them when you cook them, and I just
because carrots are naturally sweet.
Yeah,
and that comes out when you cook it. It like brings out the sweetness and it kind of caramelizes and things like that. So like I mean that makes sense because there's definitely a different flavor profile. And I was kind of trying to explain that to Carter because he was like, oh, I saw this video. And I'm like, first of all, don't believe everything that you see on
the internet,
TV and TikTok and Reels and all that stuff, because a lot of those people like are paid to sponsor those products.
100%. Yeah.
And there's one guy that I follow on TikTok, even like his brand deals and stuff, like he will be completely honest, like, because he rates it on like a CTP scale, cost scale, and then flavor. Okay. And so, you know, it's one of those things where like he does like Built Puff and all these other like supplement products. And he's like, I'll tell you what, like this is terrible. Like cost is terrible, the macros suck, and the taste is terrible. And they're his sponsors, and I think that's what helps him with his sponsorships, because he tells them,
he's
like,
honest about it.
This flat out sucks.
Well, it's funny to me, like whenever I'm like watching, like some people, you know, like, we don't do this yet, but like some people record their podcasts, like as far as like videos and stuff. And there's certain ones of them that you can watch them, and when they start doing the commercial things, like their sponsors, you just watch the light leave their eyes, you know?
Yeah, their body language is
like, I gotta do this again, kind of thing. And it's like, you know, you would rather have stuff that you're either excited about, or like you said in that guy's case, that you can just be honest about, and that way you don't have any kind of like. It's not like you're putting on a front, and it's not like you're lying to the people that follow you. You're just straight up telling them like how it is and stuff. And so,
like, it's funny. Like sometimes he'll like bite into it, and then he just like literally like spits it into a trash can, and it's like these are
like, nope,
terrible.
That's terrible. That's funny. All right, we ready to fire this bad boy off?
Let's go.
Let's do it. Good morning, Josh.
Good morning, Josh.
Recognize me? No? Well, I'm Josh. I got suspended from school because of Josh.
You're going to be there with me in every way imaginable, Josh.
Josh is truly in a trance, yes.
I went to high school with Josh, and I can tell you right now, he's a terrific kisser.
Hi, I'm Josh.
Josh, these are people's jobs we're talking about, Josh.
Josh walking in the door wasn't even close.
Josh, you are a muffin-snuggling pirate puncher.
Josh is a good guy. We can talk to him.
Please welcome Joshua. Josh.
And mini dance break is over.
Yes, exactly. Like we said before, like every time, like it never gets old.
We love jamming out to our intro. So we have talked about creating a new one and stuff like that, and it's very funny because like I went through this whole like process of, do I want to go do that again?
Right.
And kind of, you know how it is. Like with anytime you're like a procrastinator like I am, you have to like think through everything. Is this worth the cost? Do I want to do this? And the funny thing is like so far I've been happy that I didn't recreate a new one for season 2. Right. Because I've been enjoying it again. Like it's so strange how we get back into it. And then, you know, at the same time I'm like, for season 3, I think I'll definitely like work on getting us a new intro.
So you need to like start planning it now,
right? That's the whole thing, is like, because it does take a little while. I mean, that's like it's like it took a bit of time. Like when we were planning out starting the podcast and everything, it took a bit of time to kind of like comb through YouTube and find all the different times where people mentioned the name Josh, right? Cut those clips down to what we wanted and stuff, and like place them in, and so it takes a little bit of time to edit it, but yeah, maybe season 3 you guys will get to hear a brand new intro that we'll get to jam to after that. So
yeah. So I was like combing through like all the other podcasts and stuff that I consume, and I think we've talked about it. I know at least one of the podcasts that you and I both listen to, Haunted Cosmos. Yeah, they kind of did this story, but it was kind of one of those things where they kind of just like glossed over a lot of it. Okay. And then Red Web did a deep dive into this one too. And I just wanted, what do you know about the Yuba County Five?
Oh, the Yuba County Five. Okay. Yeah. So I recall listening to the episode of Haunted Cosmos that talked about the Yuba County Five, and so I think I know a pretty decent amount, at least from what they told. But yeah, what a fascinating story,
dude! It's so weird, and it kind of leads into another one that I want to cover eventually, and that's like the I think it's called like the Missing 411.
Yep. Okay. Yeah.
Where it
I know what you're talking about there.
kind of leans into, and the overlaps in geography and missing persons kind of goes into. So this is it's a
We're starting down the trail today, everybody.
yes, we are.
Hold tight.
So it's one of those things where this is like a missing person's case. It's still unsolved to this day. Like, I know we had talked about maybe doing, and we still might do the Dyatlov Pass. An episode on that. So this is
that's one of those ones that's kind of like this, where it's like it'll be the bulk of an episode if we do that. Because Dyatlov Pass there's so much to it,
and this one is kind of it's been called like the North American Dyatlov Pass.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of similarities. There's some mystery to it. There's a bunch of different stuff. So we're going to go all the way back to California in 1978.
1978.
So
4 years before the best day the world has ever experienced.
And I got about 8 for me. So our story kind of starts with 5 friends who vanish after a basketball game. They find the car. It's still drivable. A trailer that was fully stocked with food, but was pretty much untouched. 4 of the 5 people were actually later found. 1 is still missing. This is kind of a deep dive into that story. Just actually, we'll have a content warning because, obviously there is, there are 4 of them were found dead. Deals with some disabilities and a little bit of, disturbing descriptions, things like that. So this is probably, I think it's our second content warning episode. I think we had one in like early season 2, maybe.
Yeah, well,
1.
I know that we gave a little bit of a warning when we talked about, gosh, I'm going to draw a blank on his name again, the super soldier that we talked about.
Oh, yeah.
We gave a little bit of a warning on that one. Yeah, Imo. We talked about him. And then, I think there may have been one other episode that we had to give a little bit of a warning of, there's going to be some violence, going to be some, gore type of stuff mentioned. So just if you got young ears around, maybe
it's not bad, but it does talk about some serious topics.
For sure.
So we are in Yuba City in Marysville, California, February 24th, 1978. So five men, 5 friends, ages were from 24 to 32, and they were part of a basketball team. So they were the Gateway Gators, and it was a Special Olympics basketball team.
Great name for a basketball team. Gateway Gators.
Yeah.
Love it.
Love that. So they were, like I said, they were all close friends. They were very high functioning despite some intellectual disabilities and mental health challenges. They were independent. They had jobs, driver's license, and most of them lived with family.
Yep.
So the 5 friends are Jack Madruga. He was 30. He was the one who owned the car. He was an Army vet. He kind of dealt with a lot of PTSD coming back from Vietnam. It would have been around that era.
That should be right.
And then you had Jackie Hewitt, who was 24. He was more of the shy type. He lived with his parents. Bill Sterling, who was 29. He was very reserved, had a heart condition. Ted Wheeler was 32, and he was the most of the 5 that was cognitively impaired. Apparently, one time he had slept through a house fire.
Wow.
So this is where you had some
impaired or just a really good sleeper.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. I mean, I would probably like the storms and the windstorms that we've had, like slept right through them.
Yeah.
So
that's how my dad is, but in my dad's defense, it's like you can't hear a roaring fire or even a tornado when you snore as loud as he does. So.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then we have Gary Mathias, 25. He was diagnosed with schizophrenia, and he didn't take his medication that night, and he was also an Army vet. So
what I recall about these guys too is like you guys just heard, to clarify it to a degree, is that you got 5 guys, that 3 of them out of the 5, they're dealing with things that are not necessarily like complete mental disabilities in the sense
just
that
some delays and
it doesn't keep them from functioning in society and stuff like that. It's just things that they've identified that there is an issue with the way that their mind processes things. And so those guys are kind of more on like what we would say the normal side, that maybe they just have a couple of impairments in life. 2 of the guys, especially one of them in particular, was like more severely handicapped in a sense by his mental capacity. So just kind of to clarify. So we're
give like
when we tell this story and stuff like that, and you hear things about like one of them's driving, you shouldn't be thinking along the lines of like, oh, he's too impaired to drive.
Right.
No, that's not the case.
Yeah, he was, like I said, he was the one who was an Army vet. He had PTSD, but he was very quote unquote normal.
It's high functioning is kind of the term for it, yeah.
So the 5 friends basically had a basketball tournament the next day. So on the 25th, they had a basketball tournament. And with the basketball tournament, if they won that, they were going to be able to go to, I think it was an Olympic game or something to do with the Olympics.
Yeah.
It wasn't like to qualify for the Special Olympics. There's been some that said it was like a qualifier or something like that. It wasn't anything like that. It was I think it was like a 5-day all expense paid trip.
Yeah.
If they won the tournament.
Right.
So they were hyped for it.
For them, it's a huge deal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right? Yeah, like it's like a really big thing. So they really wanted to win this tournament and everything.
So they were hyped up for that. So they decided to go see their favorite college basketball team from the area. So they went to, on the 24th, they went to the UC Davis versus Chico State game. So it was about 52 miles north of where their home was. So
Chico State, also a great name for a college.
So they go up, and I'm pretty sure UC Davis ended up winning that game. It was a very close game. And so after the game, they were excited. They were hyped up because their team
pumping,
won.
Everything's good. Yeah.
The next day comes on the 25th, and their tournament, the prizes, the LA trip. They left at 5 in Jack's Mercury Montego. After the game at around 10 p.m. When it was over, they stopped at a supermarket. So they bought snacks for the way home because, I mean, any good road trip needs snacks.
Yeah, absolutely.
The store clerk eventually, and we'll get into it, remembers them because they were about to close. I think they got there at like 9:50 and the place closed at like 10. So he was already annoyed. And
I was about to say, and every person that works in any kind of service industry hates the person that comes in right at closing time.
Yeah, like right before closing, and there's a line to the door too, and then people
and 5 friends are not like, they're joking around, carrying on, talking about all the different drinks and snacks they're going to get. And so they're wasting time. So he's annoyed. Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. So the families reported them missing on February 25th. So the tournament game comes around, they're not there.
Yeah.
And it's something that they would not miss because they, like I said, they were hyped for this tournament, winning the trip to LA.
And a big deal for their families.
Yeah.
So, the families are all acutely aware of the fact that they're not there.
Right.
So they've shown up to see their boys playing these games and stuff like that, and the boys don't show.
Yeah. So, like I said, the families report them missing on the 25th. No shows for the game. Highway 99 searches came up with nothing. Mm-hmm. So, February 28th, Pluma Ranger finds the Montego on Orville-Quincy Highway, which is 70 miles east. So not only were they supposed to be traveling south, they ended up 70 miles east of where they were.
Way off the path that they should have been on.
Yep. And it was a very remote Plumas National Forest. So basically going the wrong direction home. Mm-hmm. The car details, it was in shallow snow, but definitely drivable. Quarter tank of gas. Starts when hot wired. So the keys weren't in it. So it was drivable. It started right up. Undercarriage had a little bit of damage from the rough road. Snack wrappers inside, neatly folded map, driver's window down, doors unlocked, but it was completely abandoned.
And as I recall, this car was it Jack was the guy that his car was? It was Jack's like prized possession.
Yes,
like
it was.
That was one big thing that they talked about in the story, was that Jack loved this car, took great care of his car and stuff. And so for them to find the car like abandoned, with the driver's side window down, doors unlocked, made no sense whatsoever. Like, that was a huge deal.
In the midst of that, we have Joseph Schoen. February 24th evening, Schoen's 55 from Sacramento gets stuck 150 feet uphill from the Montego.
150 feet. So that's not far in the grand scheme of things.
Like you could presumably, if it was a straight shot, you'd be able to see that car. He was suffering from chest pains, so he was trying to push his car out and started feeling chest pains. Basically, later it was determined that he had a mild heart attack during this time. So 11:30, he hears whistling, sees headlights, and 5 to 6 silhouetted figures, possibly a woman with a baby, coming down the road. He yells for help twice. The group goes silent, douses the flashlights. At 4 a.m., his gas runs out, recovers from his heart attack, presumably, and walks 8 miles downhill to a lodge and passes the empty Montego. So he got interviewed multiple times, and basically the locals referred him as an unreliable drinker.
Okay.
So he has a history of abusing alcohol. Kind of, I wouldn't go like crackpot status, but like people really didn't take him at his word, things like that.
It's hard to trust the guy that has that kind of history behind him.
Exactly.
Which is wild too, like when you think about the fact that like, so this guy's having a mild heart attack of some form, and he's there in his car by himself, stuck in the snow. You know, he gets out, tries to push and stuff like that. I think I recall in the story that like when the heart attack came on, he made his way back to the driver's seat and was basically kind of like slumped over there for a while. And he saw the people with the flashlights and stuff. And, you know, my first inclination and stuff, because I pick on her about this, but my wife is from the mountains of North Carolina. So she's a hillbilly. I'm from the flatland, so we're rednecks. Yeah. And you know, the kind of hillbilly way of living, it just struck me as though these are some people from the hills who don't like the strangers that come around and stuff. And so, you know, even like the woman carrying the baby, it's like you're thinking, man, well, they're out in the snow. What sense does that make and stuff? But if these are hillbillies that live up there and everything, then, you know, that could just be the way of life for them in a respect. And when they see this guy hollering out to them and stuff and trying to get their attention, you know, that they're like, oh, we don't deal with the city slickers or any of those kinds of people, so we're out of here.
So kind of fast forwarding, the group treks 19 miles northeast through like 4 to 6 foot snow drifts.
Jeez.
So they don't know if they were following snowcat tracks, because a lot of times, like especially in the big national forests, like out west, that get tremendous amounts of snow, they have what's called snowcats, basically a giant snow plow
with like tank like treads on it, right?
So it indents the snow, plows the impassable roads, because a lot of times you can't get trucks and things like that up there because 6 wheels not as good as snow tracks. It's just one of those things, and they're metal. They don't necessarily slip and slide as easily, and got a lot more weight to them. You'll see them at like ski resorts and things like that.
For sure. So they think that the guys may have been trying to follow the tracks of one of those guys. Yes. Like up the mountain or something.
Right.
So,
but if you remember, the lodge was downhill from where they were.
Correct.
And they were going northeast.
Uphill.
Which is, the wrong direction. So on March 3rd, Brownsville store, which is about 30 miles downhill from where the car was found, the owner sees 4 men matching Hewitt, Sterling, and Weir's descriptions in a red pickup. Wide-eyed, scared, buying burritos, chocolate milk. Don't know how they got there, but they did see that red pickup truck.
Okay.
We'll fast forward to June of 1978. So this is, 4 months later?
Yeah.
June 4th, Ware is found in a USFS, or a United States Forestry Service trailer, about 19.4 miles from the car. The Forestry Service has these, like, trailers, basically like little lodges for where people who are out in the woods and things like that.
You get lost, you need a place to get to.
Yep.
Yeah.
Usually they're unlocked, or a key is very close. I know like some of the survival shows, like they'll find like cabins and stuff that aren't abandoned, but they're fully stocked. They have a stove, they have heaters, and like the Forestry Service maintains those.
Which is always funny because people watch shows and they'll put that kind of thing on there, and they're like, "Oh, well, that's unrealistic." It's like, no, it's not. It's actually not. Like in most of the national forests and stuff like that,
it's what they're there for.
They maintain those kinds of things for the sake of people that get lost. It's like the hope is that they could find one of those shelters out there somewhere and at least survive long enough to get help or whatever. Yeah,
there was a broken window, but they found Weir's body in there, emaciated, lost about 100 pounds. So he lost about half of his body weight. So he was about 200 pounds when he went missing. He had like an 8 to 13 week beard, gangrenous, frostbitten feet, but he was actually wearing Gary's sneakers. So at some point they had swapped shoes or something like that. There were 36 eaten sea rations and a can opener that were found.
Okay.
But there was an unopened food locker which had multiple months of supplies in it.
Wow. Okay.
He basically just opened the rations with the can opener, but there were, like I said, there was months worth of food that were in that trailer.
Now you said the food locker, was it still locked up?
No, it was open,
but he just didn't use the stuff that was in there. That's weird.
The propane tank, which supplied the heat, was turned off. Matchbooks were unused. Heavy clothes were ignored. So there was supplies in these trailers.
Well, and you would think too, so like in the grand scheme of this, right, is you've got one guy that is ex-military that to some degree, even with PTSD and stuff going on, you would think that he would have the kind of wherewithal, if he was there in the same place with him and stuff, he would have the wherewithal to, at minimum, you start burning furniture to keep warm or something like that. So
and to kind of clarify and go back, he was the most mentally impaired.
Okay.
So this is the one that slept through the house fire and things like that.
Right.
So cognitively, he was, out of the 5 of them, the most impaired.
Okay.
But he was found wrapped in 8 sheets with his head covered. So this was...
Right. You're talking about the guy that they found dead in this place,
in the
right?
trailer.
Yeah.
So it was one of those things where somebody else had to have been there.
Yeah, like how does a dead body get wrapped up in sheets?
Exactly.
And I think a big thing that I remember hearing from the story was like the change of the shoes.
Yeah.
Was a big deal too.
It was very odd.
Yeah, that just doesn't sit right in the whole story in that sense.
So then we go to the next day. So June 5th and 6th, Madruga and Sterling's skeletons were found, but they were only about 11 and a half miles from the car.
Okay. So he was 19 and some change miles.
Yeah, he was about 19 and a half miles.
They're 11 and some change miles away from the car in the wilderness, right?
Yeah, in the wilderness.
You said they found their skeletons?
Yes, they found both of their skeletons. Madruga was drugged to a stream and it was like scavenged, and then Sterling's was more scattered around the woods.
Gotcha.
So you have to think
likely wild animals.
Wild
right?
animals. You have bears. You have mountain cats.
So the kind of assumption that I would work off of, in a sense, is that they went out while it was still freezing temperatures, eventually froze to death, and then were picked apart by wild animals.
And I think that's like the major theory behind that. And then a couple of days later, major theory.
Sorry, I was saluting as Josh was saying.
I just caught it out of the corner of my eye.
Major theory.
June 7th and 8th, Hewitt's backbone was found under a bush 2 miles from the trailer. So
his backbone.
Yes. And then his skull was found another 300 feet downhill.
Wow. Okay.
There was wool blankets and a flashlight found about a quarter of a mile from them northwest.
Okay.
So the autopsies, what they could do, found hypothermia, starvation, but no trauma.
Right. So nobody suffered any kind of like broken bones, like blow to the head, any of that kind of stuff.
Like they weren't attacked per se.
Right.
So, like I said, hypothermia, starvation with that.
So I have a kind of theory. We'll get to it later on. I want to hear
I was going to say
story,
the next thing is more theories.
Yeah.
The main thing from like this section is why. Like you had the trailer, you had they
had the car with a quarter tank of gas.
They had the car. They had 4 presumably capable people of pushing a car out of a snowdrift, because it didn't even say that it was in a snowdrift. It was just light snow.
Yeah, and it got stuck in the snow
when they found it. Because this was a couple of days later that they found the car. So it's not like a bunch of time had passed.
Yeah, it was a short enough amount of time the first time they found the car that we're assuming that at least the majority of these guys are still alive.
Right, because it was 4 days by the time they found, from when they were reported, or when they left to when they found the car.
Right.
So presumably they were around the vehicle, maybe even in the trailer by that point.
Yeah, you're thinking there's 4 days. You think about the average person maximum walking like 20 miles in a day, and so you're thinking like 80-mile radius from where the car is.
Right.
They're within that ballpark.
Yeah. But like I said, they weren't able to find... They found tracks, but it was kind of in the line with the snowcats and things like that. into the theories. So the official line is wrong turns near Orville. They panicked. Hypothermia causes them to split. 3 die en route. 2 reach the trailer. The disabilities prevent resource use. Weather couldn't improvise the fire, food, and then Gary leaves for help.
Right.
But again, the big thing for me with that is Gary Mathias. So
Right.
he was also an Army vet, which is one of those things where
So the guy that you expect to survive the longest survives the longest, we assume.
to an extent, yeah,
Right.
But
because they don't find him.
yeah, but again, he was diagnosed schizophrenic, hadn't
Right.
taken his medications, and presumably had not been on his medications.
Schizophrenic and PTSD,
Yes.
right? So he has a combo of both going on.
But it's one of those things where, like, that kind of thing, it makes it weird if Gary and Weir made it to the trailer that he wouldn't know to use the propane, use the food locker,
At least some basic stuff, right?
right. So
But it makes me wonder. So so I have like 2 working theories
Okay.
in this. Is number one, because of the scene that we find at the trailer and stuff, but also where they found the bodies, like the skeleton remains out 11 miles away from the car. That you said that a quarter mile away was blankets and a flashlight and stuff, right? So there's like there was some transport of those things, and I'm assuming that they weren't rocking, like Jack wasn't rocking those things in his car,
right.
And so my kind of like working theory on it is that something scared all the boys out of the car,
Right.
and maybe it was Jack like leading the charge as this former military guy and saying, "All right, we got to do something to survive, right? We can't just sit here and freeze to death. So let's get somewhere." And so he's like leading the charge. They start making their way up to where this trailer is, and eventually find it. On the way, maybe the guy that died in the trailer, his feet get frostbitten or whatever. He can't go on. They put him in the bed, try to keep him comfortable. They eat some of the food, right? And he succumbs to whatever,
Right.
ends up dying. So they wrap him up in the sheets, change out shoes, because I think I remember that he had boots, whereas the other guy's wearing tennis shoes. And so he changes out, puts on his boots. And then my theory is that at some point in time, with the broken window and stuff at the trailer, was that a wild animal of some kind showed up and scared the boys out of the trailer, basically.
Right.
So it's like, oh, we got to make a run for it type of deal. They get outside, they scatter. So maybe the 2 military guys have a little bit more wherewithal, and so they're trying to, make their way out in the woods or whatever. The other 2 guys get left behind. They die together. I don't know how all this shakes out in that sense.
Jack was the one that was the most competent, and I hate to use the word competent, but in this scenario,
but
the most competent.
Probably had the highest training, probably had the most, wherewithal in that sense for that kind of situation.
But again, if they didn't reach the trailer, he probably would have had the wherewithal to turn on the propane, to turn on all of the safety features.
Well, that's my reason for thinking that something chased them off, right?
Yeah.
Is that...
Because I think if I remember correctly, it's not in my outline, but I think that they didn't use the door. I think they broke into the window.
Through the window to get in?
To get in.
Okay.
So the first other main speculation theory is that Shone had some involvement in this. And going back, he's the guy that had the heart attack.
Okay, yeah.
So that he might have tailgated them, chased them. His story kind of shifts. First blames a tailgating car, but again, the locals deem him as a pathological liar because he's the town drunk, things like that.
I was about to say, and if he had been drinking, what's the possibility that he's actually chasing the boys?
Right.
They're trying to get away from him, end up getting stuck. He gets out, tries to confront them, but begins to have his heart attack. So tries to drive up the road a little ways, gets 150 feet up the road or whatever,
and then can't.
Gets stuck himself and is in the middle of a mild heart attack, and so he's dealing with all that,
Right.
All the theories.
There's another one with this red pickup that has been cited with them matching the descriptions. Basically, the red pickup abduction theory. So the sightings imply kidnappers, possibly they escaped, they got recaptured,
right?
Things like that, and that could also account for the trailer.
Yeah. Could account for a lot of things, yeah.
Also, a rumor of a local bully thug targeting Gary, who dated this guy's sister.
Okay.
There was rumors that he confessed to something in church, and the police kind of noted the tip, didn't really follow through a lot.
Yeah.
Which, again, the time, it's one of those things where it kind of makes sense.
But that's also kind of like a long ways out for a bully to have like chased him down and tried to scare him off in that sense. I think the drunk guy is a more plausible reason for them at least getting like stuck. I think that like the theory of maybe you're right, you're onto something there in the sense of like they got to the trailer and some of the local hillbilly people that we were talking about earlier in their red pickup truck show up and are like, "What are you boys doing in here?" And not this is not by any means like to diminish them or make fun of them, but these guys with limited mental capacity are unable to explain themselves and really like lay out for these people. We're just trying to survive. Yeah, you know, maybe that was part of it. And can you take us into town? And that's why they ended up showing up in the pickup truck at one point in time. But then they're like, we'll take you in there, but we're bringing you back and you got to get your crap and get out type of thing or something. You know, maybe there's pressure from some hillbillies, you know, a little bit of, what's the movie? I'm drawing a blank now on the ding, 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 ding.
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about.
Deliverance.
There it is. Yeah. I couldn't think of the name of it.
So in 2020, there was a Yuba County sheriff letter. It said Gary Mathias is a homicide victim. The families kind of reject it as an accident, and they're sticking to the thing that someone forced them up there, and the case still remains open 48 years later.
That's crazy. I mean, it makes sense, like especially when you consider that most of this happened in the snow. It's hard to like keep track of everything in that sense.
Right. So it's a story of puzzling details, things that just don't add up. Could have something sinister going on, but they don't have any proof of anything because there was no trauma. And even if somebody is kidnapped, regardless of your mental faculties and things like that, like you don't know that person. Like there would be some signs of a struggle, but there was no signs of struggle in any of the things I've seen. Yeah, right. Where there was no trauma that was found on the body. Like I don't even, aside from typical animal like scratches, things like that, I don't think there was anything else found. Yeah. Which I think leads a little bit more plausibility to maybe some of these guys, like the people that lived up there showed up with guns. Yeah. And just held them at gunpoint. We're like, you're going to do as we say type of thing. And... But it also begs the question. I know people don't hike and do things like that, but for it to be 4 months later that nobody checked that trailer, like that's the thing that I don't understand. Oh, that's because it's within that 20-mile 2-day walking in that vicinity. Right. Like I don't understand why they didn't think, because it's not like it was an unknown trailer, just some random trailer in the woods. You know, Billy John Joe Bob's trailer. Yeah. Yeah, it was a Forest Service trailer. Yeah, that is something that kind of sticks out in a sense. Is like, especially once you find the car. I mean, you would think that, like, number one, you know that the Forestry Service knows about that trailer, right? You know that they know about the lodge and the gas station, like all these different places where the boys like hypothetically could have been at. You know that they know all the different like shelters in a sense that are within, like you said, a 20 to 30 mile radius. Right. So when we found the car, why was there not like a massive search set out? Well, and that's the thing too, because it was one of those things, like I said, 19.4 miles, which is a pretty healthy hike in the snow. And for Weir to have 8 to 13 weeks of beard growth. Yeah. So presumably he would, I mean, it makes total sense that he was in that trailer
for a while
within that time frame.
The food that they ate, the way that he was laid up in the bed and stuff like that, like all that kind of stuff makes that he was there for a bit.
And presumably, depending on weather conditions and things like that, like you would have seen the tracks and things like that.
Yeah.
But like, why did nobody check out the trailer sooner than 4 months later?
Don't know. That's why it still remains a mystery.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where it's that unknown factor. And, for the longest time, like Dyatlov Pass, it's a bizarre story.
The Dyatlov Pass. We'll get into that one soon.
Yeah, which has a lot of cool, morbidly cool elements to it. But again, and then the mysterious red pickup truck.
Yep.
So was it the Montego that Shone saw? Was it the pickup truck?
Right.
I guess that unreliable narrator type thing where you just don't know what, where, who to actually believe in that story. But
so we'll do this for all of our listeners. We're making you guys detectives now.
Yes.
So after hearing what you've heard from Josh telling the story of the Yuba County Five, you guys take that, go do any research that you want to do online, the stuff that you can find surrounding this, and then in the comments on a post that we'll put up, you guys give us your best theories of what you think happened and stuff like that, and we'll see who comes up with the most plausible kind of timeline and layout of what happened to the boys, because we'd be curious to hear that. Like I said, I heard this on Haunted Cosmos. I think that Ninjas may have covered it at one point in time, as far as like they didn't tell the full story, but they just kind of talked about like there's this weird happening with these guys. But I've heard about it a couple of times, and like I said, I've got my own theories, I think, working of where things went. But
I think when I was looking, and I was going to watch it, but I didn't. I think there's at least a YouTube documentary. There's been numerous like sources and people that have covered this.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And it's one of those things where like nobody can come up with a definitive answer or explanation.
As we do as humans, like everybody hears, if you hear a mystery, everybody's like, well, I want to solve the mystery. Or I want to be the one. And that's a difficult thing to do in this one, because it's just.
But I mean, it's weird that like up until 2022, or not 2022, 2020, there's still a little bit pieces here and there about this story. So it's not like it's a completely dead cold case where, nobody's heard anything about it since the 70s.
Yeah, no, people are definitely still talking about it and still trying to bring more evidence and stuff to light. So you guys do your research. Let us know what you think. We would love to hear your opinion on what happened to the Yuba County Five. What was their team name again? It was the
Gateway Gators.
Gateway Gators. Great team name. I love that.
So good.
I mean, we may have to throw that one in the next time we get in like a dodgeball tournament or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Or we might jinx ourselves and then just disappear after the tournament because we use that name.
Right.
People are like, they're the Yuba County Five, throw them out. Hey, as we get ready to wrap up, I have like a really quick thing.
Sure.
I've mentioned this to you before.
And I probably forgot it. So
we never talked about it on the podcast yet. But the practice of Sokushinbutsu. Do you know what that is?
I remember you saying something about it.
You're like, I know it's a Japanese word. So this came about because I was watching like one of those admittedly really creepy videos recently online where it showed this, what appears to be a human being that looks like a living mummy. Have you ever seen one of those?
No.
Okay, so there's like this video of supposedly it's a monk that is like really old, like 112 years old or something like that. Supposed to be like the oldest living person on earth. Uh-huh. And when they show this video, I mean, homeboy, this dude is the closest to death that any human being could ever be and still be like moving and breathing, right? And so supposedly, like what I found out about this, because I saw the video and I'm like, that can't be real. That's AI or whatever. Started doing some research into it, and sure enough, it's real. And this guy is a practicer of Sokushinbutsu. And so what this is a practice where monks in China in particular, or in Japan, excuse me, and these monks in Japan, Buddhist monks, go through this process of mummifying themselves while they're still alive.
Okay.
And so, so the best like kind of example of this is that there is a quote unquote self-mummified 550-year-old corpse in existence that is that of a Buddhist monk named, I'm going to try to get this and not mess up the first name, Sangha Tenzin, in the northern Himalayan region of India.
Okay.
Is visible in a temple in the Gui village, which is, I'm not even going to try to say all these places where he's at. So the mummy was like discovered in 1975 when the people that were kind of preserving the structure that the mummy was in collapsed. And it was estimated that this structure that it was kept in, this kind of like box area in a sense, was from the 14th century. Yeah, so it's a 550-year-old mummified monk. The monk was likely a Tibetan. I'm not even going to try to say that either. It's a specific practice of like monk style stuff. Okay. That he was into. And they've found similar mummies in Tibet and East Asia and other places around the world. The preservation of these mummies for at least 5 centuries now was possible due to the arid nature of the area and the cold weather where they're at.
Well, yeah, because if you think about like, actually, I don't think we've ever talked about Mount Everest on the podcast, but like a lot of those bodies are like fully preserved.
Oh yeah.
Because it's so dry.
Well, you put them in a deep freezer with no humidity.
Right. Well, yeah, exactly. And that's the thing that always blows people's minds is how dry it is, like up on Mount Everest and like in Nepal and things like that.
Which is only adds to making it so much more impressive, the people that do it without oxygen and stuff. But so anyways, like the way that they go through this process is pretty fascinating. What they actually are shooting for as they go through this process is they're shooting for asceticism. And so asceticism is a lifestyle that's characterized by abstinence from worldly pleasures through self-discipline, self-imposed poverty, and simple living, often for the purposes of pursuing spiritual goals, right?
Which, I mean, it's not
a bad thing in a sense, but these guys take it to
the extreme,
the craziest level. And so they practice this asceticism to the point that they begin to eat foods that will keep them alive, but that begin to kind of put like natural preservatives into their bodies. And so like essentially turning themselves into living mummies. And so as they like slow down their life and stuff like that and come to the end of their life, they start putting their body through a process of preserving itself. And so, yeah, it's really crazy. And so like it gets them to the point of death and entering into living mummification in a sense. Like it walks them right up to the verge of death without actually dying and stuff. And so I just thought this was like something like kind of fascinating to like mention that, and it's not a lot of guys who have ever like successfully gone through it, because it is essentially, it's a combination of the denial of self, which is a great thing, right? Like that's a teaching of Jesus.
I was going to say that's biblical.
Deny yourself, look after others more than yourself, all that kind of stuff. But these guys take it to a point of the denial of self is like literal starvation. Yeah. And so the starvation side of it is that they begin to shift their diet. And I don't recall all the things that they said about what it is they consume and stuff. I know that there was like a certain type of like plum or something like that they eat because of its certain levels of things that it has inside of it. But they begin to eat certain foods that allows them to essentially stay alive even though they're suffering, but it begins to change the chemical makeup of their body to the point that when they do die, that they are mummified in place in a sense.
That's so weird.
I thought so too. After seeing that video, I was like, that's the creepiest thing.
Well, it's like, it kind of reminds me of, there was a statue found at a Buddhist temple it's like sitting in the cross position, like, legs crossed, things like that.
Yeah.
And then they x-rayed it, and there was actually like a person that was encased in that.
Yeah.
And it's some of those things, like, inherently on paper, to a certain extent, it's not a bad way to go about like a spiritual journey, regardless of what your spirituality is, the denial of self,
right.
kind of focusing on.
Well, it's one of those things where like you get so close to hitting the mark, but just not quite there, right? It's like, I think that when we say like all things in moderation, in a sense, is kind of the idea behind, like,
instead of turning yourself into beef jerky, essentially.
Yeah. So I found the part in my notes where it talks about. So this was a process that was completed over the course of about 3,000 days. So that's almost 10 years for those of you that are keeping track. But it involved a strict diet called Mokujiki. Which is literally it's translated to eating a tree. Yeah. So the monk would abstain from any cereals and stuff like that the monks typically ate.
Okay.
And would rely upon eating pine needles, resins, and seeds found in the mountains, which would eliminate all of the fat in their bodies.
Okay.
And so it increased.
So you're basically transferring your body's natural processes to use fat instead of anything else.
They're burning off all the fat, right? Like you had to keep them alive in a sense for a while. And so they would increase their rates of fasting and meditation over the course of those 3,000 days, which would lead to eventually starvation, as you could tell. And so the monks would slowly reduce and then stop their liquid intake towards the end. Then that would dehydrate the body and shrink all of their organs on the inside. And the monks would die in a state of meditation while chanting the Ninbutsu, which is a recitation of the Buddha Amitabha's remembrance of, like a chant that's in remembrance of him, like his name basically. And their body would become naturally preserved as a mummy with skin and teeth intact, without decay and without the need of any artificial preservatives.
Huh.
And so it says that presumably many of the monks obviously die partway through this grueling process that they would go through, although the exact numbers of them are not known and stuff. They don't know how many guys have successfully done it and how many have failed at it. And it's it's not currently known of any female Buddhist nun that's ever attempted to do this, much less succeeded at it as well. So yeah, just a kind of fascinating little thing that I found. Like I said, it stemmed from a video that I saw, but you can see there's a picture of one of the mummies, like after the guy died. That's what he looked like. And so it looks like, if you guys have ever watched Dragon Ball Z, if you know the old guy with the beard that like trains
Master Roshi?
Yeah, Master Roshi. It kind of looks like him with no hair, but like really emaciated, right? Like he's like super...
No turtle shell on his back.
Yeah, no turtle shell and stuff. But it looks a little bit like him to a degree.
Yeah, I could see that. Like, as soon as I started thinking, I was like, oh yeah, Master Roshi.
I do find it very funny, like, and I'm assuming there's a reason behind this. The picture that I showed Josh just now, the mummified monk is like sitting up in his meditative pose,
right?
Still has his robes and everything on, but they have sunglasses on him, and the only thing I can figure is that his eyes must have been open when he died, and that his eyes had dried out and like shriveled, and so they must have put the sunglasses on so people didn't like freak out when they walked in there.
Just open eye sockets.
Either that or he was the dopest Buddhist monk on the planet.
I can stare at the sun for hours.
He's like, my son, I'm getting ready to die. Bring me my gold chain and my sunglasses.
I have to drip when I die. I don't know why that was Russian, but
the Russian Buddhist monk. That's hilarious.
Ivan.
All right, well, as we get ready to close out, we'll remind you guys of all the things. I'll let Josh tell you about what's on our link tree.
Yep, so we have a link tree. It's linked on every episode and every Facebook post that we post and every Instagram post. Go ahead and check that out. It takes you to Facebook, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Facebook, and Instagram. Go ahead and check us out on there. Go ahead and leave comments, leave likes, shares, things like that. Help us to grow the podcast. When you're on your podcast platforms, make sure you have everything set to auto download. That way, like I said, it kind of helps us better in the algorithm because it lets people know that you're interested in the show enough to save it for later.
Yeah. And go ahead and take an opportunity right now to go find one of our social media posts and leave us your comment about what do you think happened to the Yuba County Five? What would your answer be to our Would You Rather that we gave at the beginning of this episode? And then maybe who do you think looks like the most looks like a living mummy that you know of?
Right.
Feel free to throw out celebrities all you want to. We'll make fun of them.
Yeah.
So otherwise, we hope you guys have a great rest of your week. We will see you back here next week in our next episode. We love you. Bye.
Bye.
I was just saying bye like that, holding it, just waiting for Josh to join in so I could hit the button.
I kind of spaced out there for a half a second.
I noticed.
Just like, oh yeah, that's right. We do a thing.
We're professionals.
Yeah, we've been doing this for over a year.
It's true. We have what, like 60 something episodes now. 66 episodes with this one.
Yeah.
So somewhere in that ballpark.
Well, I'm closing in on 70.
Closing in on 70 episodes. All right, we appreciate you guys.
Yeah, I think this is my birthday week too.
Is this your birthday week when it comes out?
When does this come out?
This one comes out the 20th.
Yep, this is my birthday week.
Hey, happy birthday, bud.
Thanks.
Hope you enjoy your week.